Thank you for joining me here this afternoon. We are now live with some more severe weather coverage. We have got ourselves a absolutely gigantic risk area today to watch, everybody. We have got ourselves a 2 out of 5 slight risk of severe weather that goes all the way from portions of New Jersey and Pennsylvania back down through the deep south and all the way back into Kansas and clips the Kansas-Nebraska state line, alright? We have got a very weirdly shaped and a very large slight risk of severe weather today. We are talking about areas like Little Rock, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, Dothan, Mobile, Jackson, Columbia, Greensboro, Virginia Beach, Richmond, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia. All those cities today are under that slight risk of severe weather, pretty much all up the East Coast here and again back into the Central Plains even. And we've also got ourselves a secondary risk going back into portions of the Rockies to watch out for. But today, we're mainly going to be focused on portions of the Northeast and New England here, as we do have a 2% tornado threat in place from the SPC now that goes from southern New York back into northern Virginia here, so we could see an isolated brief tornado. We are live now as a severe thunderstorm watch has just been issued for a good chunk of the mid-Atlantic region back into portions of the Northeast. This includes the District of Columbia, Delaware, central and eastern Maryland, New Jersey, southeastern New York, eastern Pennsylvania, northern Virginia, eastern panhandle of West Virginia, and the coastal waters here. Alright, that's going to be in effect until 10 p.m. this evening. So we have got ourselves a very long day ahead of us. We've already got storms firing in portions of especially like central Pennsylvania here to watch out for, and a couple of these could become severe over the next several minutes. So we'll continue to watch out for all these here. But again, massive risk area today. We have got over 80 million, 81 million Americans today facing at least a marginal threat of severe weather, which is a significant amount, obviously. Alright, we're also watching some storms that are getting going all the way back into Kansas, mainly this one massive cell here near Junction City. Right now, this cell is producing some damaging winds and large hail likely, and it has been for quite a while, really since it was in southern Nebraska even. It has continued to produce some extreme lightning production here. We have some large hail and damaging winds once again as well. So if you're in Junction City, Manhattan, Council Grove, Alta Vista, Alma, this area here, we'll be watching out for you over the next several minutes. And luckily, we do have a cyclone port right in the path of this thunderstorm here. So whenever this storm gets to this region, we will be able to see what it looks like here from Burlington. But again, we have got ourselves a huge area to watch, and it's going to be a several-hour period here of severe weather right now. I would like to also note we do have a brand new tropical depression out in the eastern Pacific, Tropical Depression 7E, and Ernesto is officially only a tropical storm again. Now, we are expecting some re-strengthening to occur due to the extremely high sea surface temperatures in the North Atlantic here. We are expecting it to turn back into Hurricane Ernesto soon, and eventually make a beeline towards like Ireland and the United Kingdom as a very weak system at that point, right? So let's go ahead and zoom in here on our severe thunderstorm watch and kind of talk about some of the threats that we could be seeing. So primary threats include scattered damaging winds to 70 miles per hour likely, and isolated hail up to ping pong ball size possible. Now, this is definitely going to be a widespread thing. Again, we're not just going to see one instance of 70-mile-an-hour winds or one instance of ping pong ball size hail. We're going to see many, and now we do have a severe thunderstorm warning just issued. That is going to be going out for portions of Pennsylvania here. So first one of the stream, north of Harrisburg, a severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for Snyder, Dauphin, Northumberland, Juniata, and Perry counties in east central Pennsylvania. Quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour damaging wind gusts. That's heading for the Elizabethville, Chapman region. So if you're in that area, make sure you are moving indoors immediately, as this is now a severe thunderstorm warning for your area. I'm going to go ahead and bring up Stream Chat, so if anybody has any questions about their location, feel free to leave those down below. I'll try to answer them accurately and honestly. What's up, Airborne, Kevin, Tornado Nerd, Sean, Tampa Air. Got a lot of people in here this morning, or this afternoon rather, so that's good to see. Is a storm coming your way? Yeah, so I mean, this storm is definitely going to, we're going to see some storms in northern Virginia today, and later this evening, those are going to kind of track into more eastern portions of Virginia, but you shouldn't have to look out here for quite a while. But if we take a look at the HRRR here, we are going to end up seeing some supercells in your region within a couple hours, potentially, so we'll kind of watch out for that. 3 Cape and Vorticity Bullseye exists in the Philly region. Yeah, that's kind of one of our main spots today. Again, that's why the SPC did throw out that 2% tornado threat. If we actually go ahead and take a look at the surface-based Cape here, we can see that it is pretty decent already. Right now, we're sitting at about 2,200 joules per kilogram of Cape in Philadelphia, and that's kind of right just to the point where that's enough for us to see severe thunderstorms and tornadoes, and it's going to continue to remain at that amount over the next several hours here, so we'll continue to watch that region. When will storms fire up near Lincoln County, Mississippi? Let's check that out. Lincoln County. I didn't mean to only do one S. So if we take a look here at the RRR, we can see that Lincoln County should start to get on some action relatively soon. The Cape is actually pretty intense in your region, but Lincoln County, I guess it's not going to be anything too crazy here for quite a while. If we were to see something, it would be kind of later into the nighttime hours, but honestly, there's a good chance that you don't get anything at all, but I wouldn't be surprised to see an isolated thunder shower or thunderstorm in your area later tonight. Will you get a tornado? Potentially. I mean, again, I think that the greater tornado threat exists to the north of you, mainly across portions of, like, eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey, but I would not rule out an isolated tornado in northeastern Virginia. There is a chance. There definitely is. If we take a look at the wind shear out here, we can see it's actually a pretty decent amount. If we turn on, bulk shear. So we can see that we do have a kind of a good amount of shear here, like in the Washington, D.C. area. New York City as well has some decent wind shear going all the way back into New England there. And we're going to see that kind of persist over the next couple of hours. It's not anything ridiculously high, although it does get quite intense at points, and especially like southeastern New York. We're going to be seeing 45 knots of wind shear, which is a very significant amount, obviously. So that'll be something to watch out for. But yeah, so let's zoom back in here on our severe thunderstorm warning. Again, if you're just not tuning in, a severe thunderstorm warning now issued for Chapman, Pennsylvania here. Right now, this storm is producing some damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour and hail up to quarter-sized, and we'll continue to see that persist likely over the next hour or so. So we'll keep watching this storm here. We do have a couple other strong to severe storms in this area as well, so we'll see if any of those trigger severe thunderstorm warnings. But right now, the hot spot that we are watching is kind of right there in eastern and central Pennsylvania, and then also that one storm there in Kansas that we have going. Again, actually, for the most part, this should bring a flooding rain threat more than anything. I do think that obviously we are going to see some damaging winds and hail like we have been already, and the lightning will be quite frequent and intense, but I think for the most part you'd actually have to watch out for a flash flooding threat, because if we take a look at the storm total precipitation, we can see that this thing is dumping over 2 inches of rain, and it's only, again, it's this one little storm that we have here, and it's dumping over 2 inches of rain in localized spots, so we'll have to watch out for that, obviously. Now, as this moves closer to the radar site, it's looking like the precipitation is becoming a little bit less intense, but that may not be the case. It may just be because, once again, we are getting pretty close to the radar site. Sometimes that bugs things out a little bit. Central Pennsylvania, as you were looking at, may have a brief tornado threat. Yeah, I do think that if Pennsylvania were to see a tornado, though, it would be somewhere from like 3 to 6 p.m. If we take a look at the significant tornado parameter values here, according to the RRR, let's get that pulled up, we can see that right now we're already seeing splotches of areas here that do have a significant tornado parameter value that is getting close to, maybe half in some spots, but it's nothing too crazy. However, within the next couple of hours, we could see a more organized threat start to develop across portions of eastern Pennsylvania here. Some spots getting 1 to 2 on the significant tornado parameter in localized areas. And again, that's kind of persist even throughout the late evening time hours in portions of New Jersey and Long Island there. But I would also like to note the STP is also showing a splotch up here in central New York, and that would be kind of more of a conditional severe weather threat, because if we take a look here at the reflectivity, we can see that, yes, there are going to be storms up there in central New York, but they're not looking quite as intense according to the RRR here as some of the ones a little bit further to the south. But if one cell does become discrete and strong enough, I would not rule out an isolated tornado warning in central New York. And at the 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern update, we may actually see them push that marginal risk of severe weather a little bit further northward. When is this heat going to end here in the Deep South? I wish I could tell you it would be soon, but it's not. If we take a look at the Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day outlook, we can see that next week you're going to be baking. If we look 2 weeks out from now in the 8 to 14 day outlook, you're going to be baking. The week 3 to 4 week outlook, you're going to be baking. A month, you're going to be baking. And even kind of for the rest of fall here, or not for the rest of fall, but whenever fall does start, you're probably going to have a pretty above average beginning. So that would be unfortunately a sign of no heat relief for the Deep South anytime soon. It will cool down, obviously, but not as much as you would like it to, I imagine. And obviously, it is extremely hot out there right now. I do believe that we do have some excessive heat warnings in effect, even. If we go ahead and turn those on, we can probably see here. Yeah, so we do have excessive heat warnings in effect, stretching all the way from portions of extreme southwestern Alabama back into portions of Oklahoma and Texas there. So mainly going to be for heat indices, usually just kind of in general around 110 to 115 down here, 120 actually in southern Mississippi, which is absolutely ridiculous. The actual temperatures are not going to be the problem. It's all this mugginess. If we take a look at the dew points down here, they are absolutely skyrocketing right now. The dew points down in southern Mississippi here, if we take a look, we can see that we are seeing dew points into the low 80s at times, all right? We are talking about 80 to 85 degree dew points, which is absolutely ridiculous. That is extremely nasty and muggy, obviously, and combine that with the 90 to 95 degree heat, it is just awful out there, and it's going to get warmer as we go into the afternoon. So again, I'd kind of advise against any prolonged outdoor exposure in that kind of heat, because I mean that's kind of getting to the point where heat illness becomes a serious issue. Seeing some minor rotation on the central Pennsylvania cells. You'll keep an eye out. Chances are low that they do drop. Yeah, I would not expect to see a tornado with any of these for a little bit here. Again, I think the greater tornado threat lies within the later afternoon time hours and the early evening time hours for sure. So we'll continue to watch it, but I don't think that the tornado threat is super duper high right now. But again, we can't rule out an isolated tornado warning or something this morning. So again, severe thunderstorm warning now for Chapman, Pennsylvania. If you're just now tuning in, we have a storm right now producing some quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour damaging wind gusts here across portions of central Pennsylvania, and we got several others here that could receive a severe thunderstorm warning too as well soon. So we'll continue to keep an eye out on all these for you guys. But yeah, been messing with chickens. Hope I don't have a heat stroke. Well, yeah, I mean, as long as you're staying hydrated, you should be fine. Obviously, I'd advise against wearing dark-colored clothing, and make sure that whenever you do go outside, if it is possible for your outdoor activities to be earlier in the morning or later at night, that would be better than obviously doing it in the afternoon or evening time hours. But if you absolutely have to do something from, say, 2 to 6 or 7 p.m., obviously just make sure that you're staying hydrated, wear that sunscreen, all that good stuff. Storms firing off in Utah with our marginal risk, yeah. It's not going to be anything too insane out here in Utah, I don't think. I wouldn't be surprised to see an isolated severe thunderstorm warning or something, but for the most part, I do think that things should remain kind of to the south, actually, of where most of our marginal risk is. I do think that Utah has the greatest threat out of all these states here in the west. I think that kind of Utah and southern Idaho is really where I would keep the marginal risk at. I'm very surprised they put it into, like, western Montana and all that. That would just be for maybe a gust of wind that picks up, if anything, in Montana. But again, it's more of an isolated and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Conditional chance. Sorry. We are actually going to see some thunderstorms as well up here into northwestern Washington. You may see some lightning or hear rumble of thunder in the Seattle area. Aberdeen. So this is a look from Missouri at this storm here. You can see just very cloudy, extremely overcast and nasty out. Bring that up there on the left-hand side of your screen. Yesterday, the radar said you had a 100% chance of hail occurring with the storm. Yeah, it didn't hail. Yeah, I don't trust those real-time probability trackers too much because we still obviously don't know everything about weather and severe weather. So, forecasting and predicting things that specifically in live time is very hard. NATOcast, the AI forecasting tool. We like to look at it here on this channel. If I could bring that up on your screen. I actually have not looked at the newest NATOcast outlook here, but let me pull that up for you guys. Come on. Yeah, so NATOcast does also have that 2% tornado risk going out for portions of western Long Island, southern New York, New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, and then back into portions of northern Delmarva. Now, that's on the old-style NATOcast forecasting, but if we take a look at the new models here, the new 2022 models as they're described, we can see that they're actually throwing out a splotch of a 5% risk for portions of northern New Jersey and southern New York, which is very surprising. I really doubt that we're going to see that high of a tornado risk today. Again, I think that the chance that we see a tornado today is pretty low. Again, I wouldn't rule out a tornado warning or something. But overall, I do think that the tornado threat remains on the lower side of things. That's not to say we couldn't see one at all, but it's a low chance. The greater threats lie in the hail and the wind probabilities, right? So that is mainly what we'd be looking for up here on our East Coast risk. But yeah. If we take a look here at the satellite for Tropical Storm Ernesto, if it would like to work, we can see that it's looking much more disorganized. Whenever it pops up here, you'll be able to see that. Come on, any day now. There we go. So you can see it still really does look like a hurricane, honestly, to me. But yeah, it is right now, according to the National Hurricane Center, at tropical storm status. But again, we are expecting some re-strengthening to occur as this makes its way north-northeastward. And this will bring some intense cloud cover and some interesting rip currents, obviously, to Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada, but we shouldn't see anything too major in that region. Newfoundland, we could see some tropical storm force impacts, definitely from Ernesto, some gusty winds maybe on the southeastern part of the island, but shouldn't be anything too crazy. SBK values currently based on mesoanalysis are 2,500. Okay, so new severe thunderstorm warning here now, once again, for portions of Virginia here, I believe this would be. This is for central Frederick County in northwestern Virginia and east central Hampshire County in eastern West Virginia. That's for the threat of some 60-mile-an-hour damaging wind gusts. Very surprised they gave that a severe thunderstorm warning, but I guess I can kind of see the wind threat there, but it is a very tiny storm in general. It's really just a thunder shower. You can hardly even call it a thunderstorm, but Lake Holiday, Gore, areas along Highway 50 and Highway 522, make sure that you are getting indoors if you are included in that new severe thunderstorm warning there. But yeah, I guess we can kind of see some sort of damaging wind threat there on the velocities. I would not expect anything too crazy out of that, though. But yeah, it is organizing, or it's a little bit more, it's organized, I should say. I didn't see what it looked like before, so I can't say that it's organizing, but it's definitely a little storm there that we'll have to watch. Again, I'm watching mostly these cells here in the Harrisburg area for a severe weather threat. At this point, you got attacked by a chicken? That sucks. They're 3,000 in Maryland? Wow. Yeah, again, I do think that the greatest severe weather and tornado threat for today would lie kind of in this general region right here in southwestern New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, northeastern Maryland, and northern Delaware there. I would not rule out a brief tornado or two in that region today, but I think, again, the greater threat would be damaging winds and maybe some isolated large hail as well. Tomorrow's outlook, all right. we will likely have a stream out tomorrow. Let me go ahead and fix this. Tomorrow we have ourselves a marginal risk, or sorry, a slight risk now. I did not realize that, but they did upgrade the threat in the Rockies to a slight risk for tomorrow. So slight risk of severe weather going out for portions of Colorado, a sliver of southeastern Wyoming, just a teensy tiny little bit of Nebraska there. This is for areas to the east of Denver, areas like Fort Morgan, areas east of Colorado Springs, areas northeast of Pueblo, alright, this rural portion here of east central Colorado, driven by what is likely the 15% hail risk here. I would have guessed damaging winds, but there we go, 15% hail risk within 25 miles of any given point. No sort of tornado threat or anything. The damaging wind threat is definitely there. We'll have to watch out for that. And just in general, again, we've got kind of a, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing there, wasn't I? We have a very interesting outlook for tomorrow on the East Coast. You can see we've got a marginal risk that goes out for portions of the East Coast there. We got a marginal risk that goes out for portions of northern Florida and a little sliver there of Georgia, and then a marginal risk that goes out for portions of Dixie Alley. We've got like 4 marginal risks tomorrow, right? And 1 slight risk there in Colorado once again, which is pretty interesting to see. Do you use Mac? I prefer Windows. Yeah, I use Mac. So anyway, again, we will have a stream out tomorrow. Tuesday, I would not expect anything crazy to occur, honestly. I think it's mainly just going to be some damaging winds and maybe the northern plains. If they had a slight risk, we might have a stream, but otherwise, probably not. It just doesn't look like anything too intense, in my opinion. I do think that the severe weather threat will pick up as we go later into this week, alright? But yeah. But things are looking relatively calm for a little bit here. Really, for the next couple of weeks, we shouldn't have any major severe weather outbreaks or tornado outbreaks to watch or derechos or anything like what we have been dealing with over the past several months. How bad is it supposed to get near Panama City? Today, I would not really expect anything for the Panama City region. You are in the marginal risk of severe weather. I wouldn't rule out an isolated pop-up shower or thunderstorm. If you were to see a pop-up shower or thunderstorm, it would be later into this evening, into the nighttime hours, but shouldn't be anything too crazy, although I guess in the overnight hours, the HRRR is showing some intense cells near the Panama City region, so we'll watch out for that threat, but it should not be anything too drastic. Tomorrow, you do have a risk in Panama City as well. You are in that marginal risk of severe weather again. Or, sorry, I guess you're just outside of it if you're in Panama City tomorrow. And then you don't have anything on Tuesday. So, anyway. No, you're good, Tornado Nerd. I get it. Everybody gets busy. Forgot to update the warning counter. So again, right now, mainly watching the Mid-Atlantic region. Some of these storms are managing to become briefly severe. We'll say our storm in Virginia looks to be having a little bit of an uptick in its hail threat, potentially. Best chance for severe storms currently in the second slight and marginal, I guess, is southwestern Arkansas. 3,500 MLK left untouched. It all depends on if we do get storms to fire up in that region, though. You ain't seen those strong storms in Florida? Yeah, those midnight storms, obviously, they are quite tricky. Just make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts, and you will be just fine. Obviously, a phone giving you alerts on an app or something is one way. If things do get too intense, we'll be live here. I guess we won't be live at 2 a.m., but we will, if you have like a NOAA weather radio or anything, obviously that's another way. Sirens are a source of receiving severe weather alerts, although they're not always super reliable, so Obviously, it hasn't been too long since Panama City's seen a tornado. You saw a tornado just several months ago, back in January. Big EF3 tornadic waterspout rolled through, moved onto shore, killed one, I do believe. The lapse rates are decent, so it's just a waiting game for them to fire down there. Yeah. So the storm in Kansas no longer even has a special weather statement. Again, it's really just going to be a flooding rain threat, I think. Especially on the front end of it is where you would see the heaviest rainfall, obviously. It's up Indiana, Hamilton. But yeah, again, this storm is dumping like over 2 inches of rain in some spots. And it's just a tiny cell here. I mean, it's nothing crazy. I mean, it's not a tiny cell, but it's just one cell. But it is a massive cluster of rain here. Again, it's been going for a long time. It's been going since Nebraska. Quite intensely. Yeah, originally it was kind of 2 clusters of storms. At one point it did produce a 54 mile an hour gust near Grand Island, Nebraska, but that was whenever it was a bit more organized and it had more of a line shape there. A linear shape, I should say. So at this point I would only be concerned about like gusty winds, not really damaging winds. Again, that storm crossing Interstate 70 right now near Junction City, Kansas. Gonna go right into the radar site there, dumping some heavy rain. Should you expect a severe thunderstorm watch in Brookhaven, Mississippi? No, I wouldn't say so. It would be close, though. I don't know if we're really gonna see a severe watch at all down here in the Deep South, though. I think that, honestly, I think that the main reason that they even have the slight risk going down out here in the Deep South is just because we've got a risk here in the Southern Plains. We've got a risk in New England. You know, I think part of it was like, you know, why not just connect it? But no, I do think that if you were to see a severe watch, it would be later into the evening, though. And we are going to see some storms down here. We are. It's just they're not going to be quite as intense as some of our other spots. And I think the area that's going to have the best chance for severe storms in the Deep South, and like Dixie Alley, would be back into portions of Alabama and Georgia. Kind of later into the nighttime hours. And again, some of those do get really intense, it looks like, as they enter the Florida Panhandle there, according to the HRRR, so. Anyway. So again, if you're just now tuning in, we are watching some severe thunderstorms getting going in Pennsylvania and Virginia. Right now, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. All right, this is going out for portions of Pennsylvania here. No longer includes Chapman. They kind of condensed the warning here off to the east. But it does still include Elizabethville, Barrysburg, Dornsife. This is for areas to the north of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Far north of Harrisburg. Harrisburg is seeing a couple of thunder showers, it looks like right now, but the main thing to watch out for there would just be some heavy rain, so just bring an umbrella if you have to go outside over the next couple of hours. And then, again, a severe thunderstorm warning also in effect for portions of Virginia, and like I said, the uptick in the hail threat there, they did just upgrade this to quarter-sized hail as of a couple minutes ago, it looks like. So there we go. Again, if you're in Lake Holiday, Gore, make sure you're getting indoors. Gainsborough, McGuire, Hayfield. Shouldn't be anything you haven't seen before, but it will be an intense storm. But it could be quite brief. Like you may only get 5 or 10 minutes of heavy rainfall, hail, and wind. A little bit of lightning, and that should be it. I will say another thing that could be indicative of some intensity growing with this storm here is the lightning uptick. Earlier, this thing was only producing, a lightning strike every several minutes. Now we are seeing them out the wazoo here with this storm. So, again, make sure you are getting indoors in that region. If any storms fire off in Nebraska or Kansas, they will pose a decent wind and hail threat, most likely, as they move closer into the environment. When I watched Twisters in Jackson, Mississippi, and 40, we walked out and there was a lightning and a tornado siren. I think it was a sign. Yeah. You mean northwest? Okay. I thought you meant Nebraska when you said NE. I didn't realize you meant northeast. So again, if you're traveling along Interstate 70 here in between Junction City and Alma, I would be looking out for this. Again, all it's really going to do is reduce your visibility, make things quite hard to see, but I mean, that's going to be a threat there for the next couple of hours in this little corridor of Interstate 70 here, Highway 24, Manhattan, Kansas, Ogden, Kansas, Waubonsee, Kansas. Travel could become briefly dangerous with reduced visibility on roadways. And maybe a little bit of lightning as well. But, shouldn't be anything too crazy. So, I think if we don't have any new information here from the SPC, we're just going to keep going on and on about Pennsylvania. Okay, we do have new information from the SPC, actually. They have mentioned that there is a 20% chance of a severe thunderstorm watch getting issued for portions of western Utah. Let me go and bring up the details on your screen here. It's not quite loaded yet, but that literally just got issued. So, let's see here. NOAA, SPC. Okay. I don't know if it's going to load or not. Yep, okay, so 20% chance of a severe thunderstorm watch for portions of western Utah. That would be between now and 2 p.m. Mountain. That would be 3 p.m. Central. But high base storms with isolated severe wind gusts expected this afternoon or evening. We're not expecting a severe thunderstorm watch, but they have mentioned that if storms do become more intense than we think, that we can't completely rule them out of issuing one, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Storms firing off in northern Alabama currently. Yeah, and again, those could become quite intense later on as they push southward, so if you're in like Anniston, Alexander City, Roanoke, Goodwater, areas especially southeast of Birmingham, I'd watch out over the next couple of hours for some strong to severe storms. The storm here in northwestern Georgia has a special weather statement. It's had one for a while. It doesn't look like anything too intense at this point, though. I think that they could probably be fine with removing that. It's kind of just a shower at this point over Cartersville. And that'll be moving into the Atlanta metro soon, but it should weaken out heavily by then. So anyway, still just watching these two storms here in the mid-Atlantic region. Again, severe thunderstorm warning for western Frederick County in Virginia, Lake Holiday, Nordic Village, Cross Junction, Whitaker, the Knolls, Gore, Gainsboro, Indian Hollow, Hayfield, Devland Estates, and McGuire, all included in that severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, it's quite a tiny cell, though. Your rooster once tried to kill a baby chicken. Well, that's just great. Alright, so again, a little bit of an uptick there with the hail threat in that storm. If we take a look at the vertically integrated liquid, actually, it should show a signature here, yeah. So again, maybe some isolated quarter-sized hail, especially like in between Gore and Nordic Village at this point. This scan was as of 4 minutes ago, but if anything, it's only more intense now, so it should still kind of remain that way. The storms in Alabama will grow 8.5 low lapse rates in 1500 ml Cape. I'm gonna get off in a minute to help your dad with chickens. Alright, sounds good. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to leave those down below. Kind of enjoying just answering some questions right now while we're in a more chill period of the weather. What is going on here? Wow. So, it looks like we have some outflow winds here that have warranted their own special weather statement for Cottonwood Falls and Bazaar. That is really interesting. Wow. So 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts for Bazaar and Cottonwood Falls are a possibility over the next several minutes. So look out for that if you're in that area there. Things could get quite gusty for a little bit. Warnings issued for Scotland as a result of Ernesto bringing potential 60 mile an hour winds. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's going to be anything too crazy, though, by the time that it gets to Scotland. The sea surface temperatures just are not high enough, obviously. So anyway. Our storm in Pennsylvania, still just chugging along here. Not really looking any weaker, not really looking any stronger. So, I imagine they'll let this severe thunderstorm warning continue until it expires, because the storm is still on track to stay inside of the polygon here for a while. So, Barrysburg, Gratz, you're getting some heavy rain right now, most likely, or at least you're about to if you're in Gratz. Gratz, however you pronounce that. I'm going to see the next radar scan of this storm here. The hail threat actually looks to be an even more of an uptick here. So we'll see what this looks like whenever we get our next scan on the Washington, D.C. radar. It's not really in Washington, D.C., but it's just outside of D.C. About 25 miles. Yeah, so again, that's actually a growing storm there, so it's kind of merged with a little cell merger here, so we may see a bigger severe thunderstorm warning get issued with this within the next couple minutes. Just took your dad's tractor on a joyride across the field. So one of our little storms here in northeastern Alabama does have a special weather statement, actually, for Powell. Doesn't look like anything too intense to me, but it looks like a couple of scans ago it was a little bit more impressive. So let's see what happens there. It's kind of a weirdly shaped storm, but if anything, it should just be a couple minutes of heavy rain that you get with that. Maybe a little bit of isolated hail and gusty wind action as well. Winds up to 40 miles an hour is what it's warned for, so nothing crazy. And this is a really interesting special weather statement issued here in Kansas for the outflow winds. Actually, it does look like we still kind of have a growing pocket of significant damaging winds maybe trying to make its way across Interstate 70 right now near McFarland and Alma, Kansas. So if you're in this area, again, if you're on this very small section of Interstate 70 here, you might want to look out. Reports of flash flooding coming from Connecticut. Yeah, we've got several of those across New England right now. But especially western Connecticut here, yeah. Southwest Connecticut in particular. A lot of spots in New England have seen well above average rainfall recently, so it's not going to take much to see flash flooding up here, which is why the excessive rainfall outlook is giving us a pretty large slight risk of flash flooding up here, right? And they went ahead and also threw out a slight risk for southern Utah and northern Arizona, because just in general, it doesn't take much for this area to flood. Hi, just tuning in. What does it look like in Fairfax, Virginia? Give me just a second here, and we will take a look at that. So, Fairfax, Virginia. I know where that's at. If I took 5 seconds, I could probably find it, but I'm lazy. So you're under a severe thunderstorm watch right now, and we do actually have some storms off to the northwest of Fairfax. Again, we do have a severe thunderstorm in northwestern Virginia right now, and a lot of these should stay off to the west of you, hopefully, but if we do see a storm fire off to the south of you, that would be the thing to watch, because these are generally taking a northeastern track, so any cells that we see develop in areas like Orange or Luray could head your way and maybe just bring some briefly heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds, but shouldn't be anything that you haven't seen before, you know. But outside of that, I mean, it's just going to be a muggy day, really. So thank you for joining us. Alright, so we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning now, actually. Yeah, no problem. New severe thunderstorm warning for Wayne County in Pennsylvania, for the storm right along the Pennsylvania-New York state line here. Some heavy rain, gusty winds, and large hail with our storm, it looks like, near Cold Spring. This severe thunderstorm warning is mainly for the threat of damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour and hail up to quarter size. That's for northern Wayne County. We do also have a flash flood warning for this area here. We've had it for a little bit now. But yeah. A gas leak actually occurred in Danbury as a result of a mudslide and caused evacuation. I did not know that. Yeah, mudslides are obviously a pretty big threat out west. We had several reports of water spouts today across portions of Lake Erie, and we've had a lot of water spouts recently across Lake Erie, just in general. They're not like tornadic water spouts or anything, but they are definitely interesting to watch. I imagine if you see them in real time, that'd be super cool. So anyway, I am tired. I had to get up this morning early, and I did not adjust my sleep schedule by going to bed early to do that, so that's cool. What radar am I using? The app is called Radar Omega. It's available on iOS and Android. It does cost like $9, I think, but this is the kind of stuff that they use on TV, the professionals use. So, in my opinion, it is highly worth it. Not a sponsor or anything, obviously, but I just love the app, and I know millions of others do as well. Radar Scope is another good one. But if you're going to get Radar Omega or Radar Scope, I'd personally go with Radar Omega. You have more features. You have live cameras you can access without a subscription. You have Storm Chaser feeds that you can get without a subscription. You can see watches without a subscription, which I don't think you can do on Radar Scope, which is really dumb. But, yeah. So again, this band of heavy rain really is just going to continue towards the Osage City area. Interstate 335 I'd watch out for. Radar Scope, in my opinion, more for the simple who want to know if there's rain or thunderstorms in their area. Yeah, but I mean, you can do the same thing with Radar Omega pretty easily. I think in that aspect, they're pretty similar apps. Radar scope has easier controls. I don't know. Apparently our storm here in Kansas did actually cause some wind damage in Clay Center, but that was a long time ago, and this system, which was much stronger, gusts up to 60 miles an hour, downed a large part of a healthy tree over a road. You like Red Omega vehicles trapped in Danbury? That's not good. We have a storm way out in the mountains of Colorado that has a special weather statement. A lot of these are just typical thunder showers, though. Nothing crazy. Again, a little bit further to the west, though, they're quite intense at times. Again, southwestern Utah, we're seeing some pop-ups. We actually have developing rotation on our storm near Pine Mill, Pennsylvania. It's looked like this for a while, but see it, Tornado Nerd. Yeah, I don't know. I think that we could probably end off the stream here since we don't really have much to talk about. I will be live again later this evening, probably. I can't guarantee you what area we'll be watching because we just have such a huge area to watch today, but we will likely be back live again later. But yeah, I do want to thank you all for tuning into this live stream. I want to thank you all for keeping me company here. I'm glad I helped out a few people today, and I will see you all in the next